We all out here winging it. All right, let me tell you. My name is Crystal Hoban, aka Crystal Clear Mystic, and I've been feeling really called today. I was actually in the middle of cleaning, and I'm wearing my pajamas, um, and I just felt like I needed to show up today for myself and in general, and this is a message within itself. um, One thing I say to clients all the time is we're all out here winging it. We're all out here doing the best that we can. We're all out here doing the best we know how to, right? And I want to be a little bit vulnerable today. And so, story time. I want to share that I have been taking a coaching course. And in this coaching course, I've been a therapist for 7 years in private practice. I have my master's, I have my license, I've been actively, practicing for a while, and I'm still taking this coaching class. And so it's never too late to learn more. It's never too late. And I mean, I guess like the big thing that I'm realizing is like we all need check-ins here and there. We all need a little bit of a check-in here and there. So in this coaching course, it's kind of made me have to recognize how I have shifted over the time of being a therapist and how, um, some of the things that a beginner has, I had kind of started looking past and having to put those things back into practice and really like getting a reality check around that. Um, and I have to say, it's been really hard to like take the class and hear those things. Um, and I've had to be really gentle with myself. I've had to be really kind. I've had to let myself know that it's okay. Like we're doing the best that we can. And it's good that we know now. And all we can do is shift it and move forward differently. Right. And so I guess I'm sharing this video because no matter how trained you are, no matter how informed you are, no matter how much you've learned, there's always times where a check in is needed. There's always times where you need to go back to basics or a reminder of basics. And, it can be really uncomfortable to have to acknowledge that. It's kind of part of our shadow, right? This like egotistical shadow part of us that feels like we've done it all, we know it all, right? Like, and I've never really been that type of person exactly. I'm more of a collaborative kind of healer in ways. But there's definitely parts of my ego that have been like, well, you know what you're doing. You've been doing this for how long, right? But the reality is there's always time and always important to kind of go back to remind yourself to come back to the basics of what you're doing and if you're doing those things. And it's been a pretty big wake up call for me. And also, one of the things I've realized is, and especially even just with my channel, is, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. Um, and having to get that under control is a little rough. So that's another reason why showing up here feels really authentic and true to me, and kind of like me pushing past that in some ways. I don't have to be perfect to show up. I don't have to be perfect to do good work, right? And I don't have to be seen as perfect to do that either. And neither do you. So, all of this to kind of say that, we are here to learn. We are here to, challenge ourselves. And that's my personal belief about what our journey here is for. And everything that happens to us, we can learn from it, or we can have it be something that affects us negatively. The choice is yours, right? And for me personally, I choose to learn from it. I choose to, instead of shame or criticize myself, acknowledge that, okay, well, here we are. So we can move forward differently. And that's the control that we have. It's right here and now. We can't change the past, right? We can only do better as we move forward. And the reality is that nobody knows what they're doing or where they're going exactly. I mean, we all out here motherfucking winging it. On a real note, we are all out here doing that. Nobody actually knows. They just kind of follow what they think, right? They follow what they feel. And then they get to where they're going. And so I think it's important to recognize that, like, it's never too late to kind of like learn something new or even like relearn something. We're never going to know it all. And that's okay. It's about learning to be open to the fact that we're constantly growing, we're constantly changing. I hope that I do for the rest of my life. It's so funny. It brings me back to this. I'm seeing this drawing I did when I was in like eighth grade, and I did this drawing of an ostrich with its head in a hole in the ground, and we had to do like a Chinese sign around the ostrich, like that represented kind of what we felt like life was about, or like represented the picture. And I put around the ostrich this sign or symbol that was like of Asian culture around like never ending learning, like a life of always learning and never ending learning, right? And I never wanted to be that ostrich with my head in the ground. And I think I've done a pretty good job up until this point. I do think though that it's been really hard for me sometimes to have to like sit with myself when I recognize that like I did fuck up or I could have done something differently or better. I think one of my shadow pieces has been me and my ego and this little fight I have with it about, well, they should have known better, right? Or is it really that I need to take a step back and see how I'm participating in that? How I'm, you know, causing that? How I'm like have an effect in it? Personally, I feel like 50-50 responsibility for every relationship and dynamic. But part of me for a really long time didn't take responsibility for my side of things and just kind of like pointed and turned the finger. And I think it's normal. I mean, a lot of us do it. And until I started doing really like my shadow work, I really wasn't able to kind of see that clearly. And there was a part of me that when I did see that clearly, because of my perfectionism, which comes from my own childhood and stuff, it was like constant criticism. Like I was like judging myself and being really hypercritical and just really nasty and mean. Like, what is wrong with you, right? Instead of like being gentle and saying, oh, well, now you see it and we can change it now. And it's okay. And we understand where it came from. We understand why. And I love you. And let's move forward differently. Let's be better. Let's not choose beating ourselves up and talking shit to ourselves, but let's just choose to love ourselves more, love others more, have more compassion, and be better. That has been a big part of kind of integrating my shadow in myself throughout this like awakening process and in general just healing throughout my life. But it's taken me a long time to be able to not talk shit to myself and not beat myself up for mistakes that I made or not knowing or even knowing and still doing it the wrong way or the way that's not preferred, right? Or the way that like triggers other people or whatever, right? That has probably been one of the biggest things I've had to learn is like how to just accept that I'm not perfect. Accept that it's okay that I'm not perfect as long as I'm willing to do better and be better and make a change, right? And it's okay. It's not a place to beat myself up. It's a place to learn. It's a place to love myself harder. And it's a place to move forward regardless, right? I don't have to be what I grew up in, and I don't have to keep repeating that to myself. I can choose to love that part of myself and work with it instead of letting it take over me and get bigger to the point where I can't control it. And it is everything that bothers me about myself, right? Usually, when we ignore these parts of ourselves, they get huge to the point where we can't avoid them anymore. We can't ignore them anymore. And they become so invasive, and it's all we can think about. And, you know, part of integrating the shadow is learning how to love that part of yourself, learning how to hold that part of yourself, learning how to recognize, like, that's my old way of being. I don't have to keep repeating that. I can love that part of myself instead, and I can choose a different path forward. I hope that was helpful. And if you ever want a one on one session, you know, in my bio, it's in there. I do coaching and psychic work. And I wish you the best on your journey. Love and light.